Hi, alright, so I'm back again. This is my second video. I am squatting in this video. This was a brutal workout. You'll see as we go on. I actually wasn't able to get all 4 sets of 20. I called it at 3. Started feeling my hip being a little achy. Wasn't really good. I think it was from the high reps. Again, not really super adjusted. Plus the hip strain really isn't helping. So what you're seeing right now is my warm-ups. I go through various different types of warm-ups for squatting because my hip is still rehabbing and I really want to get blood in there before I start to squat and pick up heavy things. And I don't have it narrowed down to a science, but this is one thing, the Bulgarian split squats. I've been doing these for the last 3 months. They really, they help my quads a lot. They warm up my hips, because this is not just like a one-time strain. I've actually been dealing with this type of strain. It happens over and over. It's been about 3 years now. But now I'm really taking the time to fix it. So, yeah, I do these to really get blood in my hips. And then you'll see me doing this goofy little thing, hugging the plate and leaning over a little bit. Plate loaded good mornings. Great for hip extension. Really good to get blood in my hamstrings. I don't do a lot. I do enough to feel it, really get a little bit of blood. Not too much, not too little. Because the squat is technically a quad dominant movement. But the feeling that I get in my hamstring is just a stretch when I squat. It's not like I'm pressing or pulling with my hamstrings. And I know that my hamstrings need to be warmed up. I'm also just doing some like bent over RDL type stuff. Really trying to feel my hamstrings, get them engaged. As you can see right now, I'm kind of struggling to hold the plate right. This is something that I'm now starting to do because if I'm going to be only squatting once a week, I really need to get some blood in my legs to really help with recovery. I'm not really sure what I'm doing here. I'm just grabbing plates. So I then do another set of Bulgarian split squats. You'll also notice that when I do these, I'm not doing a lot of reps. These are for the stretch in my hip flexor when I get down to the bottom. I actually feel a really relaxing stretch. Well, not relaxing, but like it really loosens up my hip. I use these not only as this, but I also do them in my rehab. So you'll hear me talk about rehab. I do a lot of split squats to stretch. You'll actually see a few exercises that I do like to do for my rehab. I do them when I go to squat because I need to warm up these muscles that they don't want to fire up because they're hurting or they're recovering. They're trying to rest. And I think that I really kind of have to force this adaptation because if I don't, then I'm just going to keep coming back to this. I also like to really sit into these because you really get that stretch in your quad on both sides. It's a different type of stretch though. On my left leg, as you're seeing, when I'm going down, I'm really stretching that hip flexor, and I don't remember exactly what quad head it is, but it's the one that extends your hip. But it doesn't extend, it pulls it in. The other quad, actually, I just get this kind of stretch closer to my teardrop, and then I really can kind of like contract on the way up. And then here I'm going again with the plate loaded hamstrings. This one I kind of figured out how to grip it. A little bit of a struggle, but I was actually really happy with this exercise as I'm now like just starting to do it. I really get a nice stretch in my hamstrings, so I'm not just getting blood there. I'm also kind of loosening up that muscle for squatting. Uh, hmm. There's not really too much to say about this exercise. It's just a general thing. Um, oh, so as you'll see a little later in the video, um, my friend Ryan comes. I had spoke about him last time, and we do high intensity training. It's like a balls to the wall training. All right, so here's my light little adductor turn on. This is what I do for that strained adductor. It's not ridiculously heavy. It's not. It's just blood. It's blood, and it's forcing an isolation of the muscle that needs to be trained and needs to be rehabbed. I'm also gonna do something that looks like a leg raise. It might look like I'm doing it for my abs because that's what you would normally do leg raises for. The way I do it, I actually keep my back slightly rounded so I'm able to isolate my hip flexor. Yep, here it goes. You'll see me raise my leg up and down. This is killer for me. This destroys my hip flexors. This pumps so much blood into them. Honestly, when I first started these, I was getting sore the day after. I find that not only does this help with the pain, I think that this actually helps a lot with my squat and deadlift as well, because the hip flexors are kind of vital to what you're doing. And then, of course, got to do the other leg. Even though this is the leg that's not really injured or anything, I like to keep it kind of even, kind of just get blood in both sides, because a lot of people don't do unilateral movements enough, so you miss out on like the athletic benefit, which is like being strong on both sides. It increases stability, and it also allows for other benefits. And like these movements are great for jumping. If you want to get better jumping, hip flexors, promise. Hip flexors, hamstrings, quads, because it's just a deadlift and a squat. That's what jump is. So here's where you see me. I'm mobilizing my hips right now, right before I do a nice set. I don't have any of my stuff on. I will not be squatting or deadlifting or benching with a belt until about 4 months in. I am a huge proponent of wearing a belt. I say it's a really good idea, but here's my thought. If I'm not maxing and I'm doing a bunch of reps, why would I use a belt? Although, yes, core activation is similar with and without a belt. They actually say that you get just as much. I believe that there is a time and place for wearing a belt, and there's a time and place for not wearing a belt. I will not be wearing a belt because, number one, I'm not using super heavy loads. But number two, I really don't. I don't want that extra stability that the belt adds. I would like to be able to do it on my own without. Here's me doing like a light little front squat just to kind of get a little see how my hip is liking it. I now have all my gear on. So what I like to wear is I have Adidas Powerlift 3s, or are they 4s? They're either 3 or 4s. I'll let you know next time I squat. And I have Stoke knee sleeves on. These knee sleeves are a godsend. People say that they add weight, or they make a difference when squatting. So I squatted with and without them. It's not about the weight. It's about the confidence that they give you, because they feel good. There's this nice compression, but it's not too much. It's just enough to where it feels good. I'm really warming up slow. This is going to be a long video. There's a lot to cover in this video because I did a lot. I won't be showing my warm-ups in the next video. I'll just be showing like the bar, the plate, and whatever I do. Unfortunately, I only did 135 today for all my working sets. This is a warm-up. This was just to see if I could do it. It was fine. The warm-up didn't get me. The working sets, on the other hand, they got me pretty good. I I can't even say that it was all muscular. I'm gonna say some of it was definitely a mental thing. Um, 20 reps, when you think about it, is ridiculous. It is a lot to do. Um, I am not used to squatting more than 6 reps. So, I'm like the power lifter, like, ooh, I don't do more than 6 reps or whatever. Yeah, that's gonna change, and I think it's a good thing that that's gonna change because me struggling to do 20 reps with 135, and my max ever was 345, but my max now is 3 I'll call it 315. Um I think I could do a little bit more than 315. Off day, hip strain. It was pretty bad. These sets are really long. I think that's also another thing that made them so hard. I think I need to stop breathing and bracing between every single rep. You'll see on my third set, which is my final set, that I try to kind of branch it into 5. So I go like, breathe, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Breathe, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then these pumped my quads like nothing. I was not shaking, but it was brutal. And I know my 20th rep on all 3 sets, they don't look all that bad, but you'll see that when I get a little bit farther in, like on my third set, I think my 20th rep actually looked like it was hard. It didn't look hard on video when I checked it out. I had to watch beforehand. But my God, the feeling was like I was pushing against a brick wall. Like someone dropped a brick wall on my back and I was just pushing and I was fighting for it. So one of the problems I did have with these, normally I wouldn't really struggle with high rep squats or stuff, but like with my hip, there was so much blood flowing in there. I could feel it. It wasn't like an ache. It was like a pump. It was a pump. I used the word ache the other day. It wasn't an ache. It was a pump. It wasn't horrendous, but I could feel it, and I really didn't like it. I'm just not used to it. And then as I got further and further on, so first set, my hip was kind of at the end. Second set, that's when like I really started to get that pump. Third set, like 4 reps in, because the other thing I'm trying to do is limit my rest periods to like minute and a half max. I hit 20 reps, took like a minute, started my next 20 reps. There's my quads are fried. I hit, I think, rep 10, and then my adductor starts to kick in, like really, like I can feel them. And at this point, there's just so much blood everywhere that I'm just struggling. As I'm looking through this right now, I'm seeing that like it doesn't really look like I'm hitting depth all that much. I might be, I might not be. I'm not crazy worried about the depth. I'm more worried about getting the reps in. When you see my squats a little bit later when I'm working with Ryan, because we do squats, but we do it in a different way, you'll see that I do hit depth. But this right here was hard. So like yeah, there you go. See, I'm trying to like get multiple reps. I'm not trying to just do one at a time. I just having such a problem. Like my oxygen was low. I'm not really in good conditioning. I haven't played sports in like a few years. I really don't do too much cardio, so this is kind of like a cardio workout for me as well. Here is the last set of 20. Oh, I'm like shaking at this point. Like this was bad. I got in my head on this last set. I had kind of told myself that I didn't want to do it. But once I kind of started going, I did get going. It was really, really, it was not fun for me. I was also trying to like adjust my stance width to see if I could like minimize that hip flexor pump. Yeah, it didn't happen. hip flexor pump lasted the entire time that I was squatting. Even when I got into with Ryan, I was still blowing. Like my hip flexor was warm. It was, I could feel all the blood flow into it. But I think it's actually going to be a good thing for me. I think it's going to help. About the depth thing, the depth is like powerlifting standard. Like that's what I look at my depth for. You'll see a video at the end. It's kind of cut off because of like the editing software that I'm using. But that video is to depth. This I can kind of see right now. It does not look like I'm hitting depth at all. I will point out my depth again when I get to the next set, I believe. I think that's when Ryan pops in, and that's when I'm doing my, like, the really exhausting thing. Like, I'm shaking. Yeah. But right now, I'm just trying to finish the set. I can see it in my movement, the way I'm just trying to push up. Like, I think I do a set of 5, maybe, and that's like, it. I don't think I was able to do much more than that. Yeah, I think this is the end of the set. Alright, and this is when I move on to Ryan. So what we do here is we do a 4-2-4 tempo. This is brutal. I'm shaking from the first rep. I could not stand. And I got a few reps in. I had to sit in real deep, well, as deep as my hips will allow me, and then come back up. But the thing with Ryan's training is you do one set, and it's not one set to failure, and then that's it, like an RPE 10 type thing. It's you go to RPE 10. You have nothing left in the tank, and then you force reps after. So, and you keep this tempo. So you do 4 seconds down, 2 seconds at the bottom, 4 seconds up. It's all on your quads the whole time. So what I was doing is I was trying not to hurt myself and fall over because of how agonizing the pump in my quads was. Like, I'm sitting here now and I can't flex my legs. I can't flex my hamstrings. I can't flex my quads. You'll see probably this next rep is when he starts helping me. I was not on the verge of tears, but I was struggling with these. These are hard reps. I challenge whoever's watching this to go to the gym, pick a weight that they can normally do, probably I'd say 12 reps with, and then slow it down, and then once you fail, have your spotter pick you up, and then slow it down so you can go back down again, right? So go all the way down, fail, have your spotter pick you up, and then go back down, and then have your spotter pick you up. It is brutal squatting past failure. You can see I'm on the ground, I'm shaking. And then we go into something, it's supposed to be sissy squats, but it's not. I am standing on a 45-pound plate, and I'm just trying to go up and down. I lost my balance. I couldn't, my legs were destroyed. So it's 4 seconds down, 2 seconds, and then pause. You can literally see the grimace in my face as my quads are lighting up. This was the most brutal leg workout I have ever done to date, and this is what every leg day is going to look like from now on. You can see my hands and my quads. I'm not pushing up or anything. I'm just making sure I don't tip over or fall. I'm really trying to stay as upright as possible to keep all that load on my quads. You can see how far over my toes my knees are going, so it's directly on my quads. Soon I actually have Ryan come in because, we force reps. I'm getting a failure. My quads don't want to help, and I need him to help me I need him to get me up so I can go back down again. Yeah, here he is. Comes in. Stands in front of me so I can push off of his arms. I'm not pushing hard, but my body weight at this point in time was just so heavy that I really couldn't get up myself. It was terrible. Alright, I believe this is the end of the set right here. Yeah, it's the end of the set. Okay, so, alright, ignore the first rep. So, my RDLs are really bad. these aren't really RDLs. It's just like kind of me going down a little bit. Ryan and I's focus is really to just hamstrings. This is not supposed to be a back exercise. This is not supposed to be anything else. Although it looks horrendous, because it is, I'll fix this up. It gets better as the reps go on, though. You see that it looks a little bit better than the first one. My hamstrings were lit like a Christmas tree. I could feel I swear I could feel like every fiber in them. It was terrible. But this tempo is so hard. I also wore straps. You'll see I'm wearing straps. I'll be wearing straps in any deadlift that I'm doing from now until probably 3 months from now. I really want to stay strapped up so I can like not limit myself by grip. And this is when I start to hit failure on RDLs, and believe me, it's gonna look goofy. He's like gonna be pushing the bar up, and it looks goofy, but it is brutal on your hamstrings. I actually started to get a little bit of a lower back pump, but I mean, what's expected at this point when my back looks like that, you know? I wasn't doing full RDLs. I was just going down to like where my hamstrings would stretch without me going to the point of my back rounding and getting like that backache. I'm a very like upright deadlifter, so not when you see my snatch grips, but when you see me in a few months pull normal, it is going to be a very uprightish deadlift compared to what you normally see on a deadlift. I have shorter femurs and a little bit of longer like shin bone. You see me failing out here. I was done. But yeah, so I have shorter femurs, longer like shin bones or whatever you want to call them. I don't remember. What is it, tibia and fibia? So my legs don't need to bend as much for me to get down to that bar. They will though, because I can get like in a little bit more of an upright position. It's not crazy upright, but like compared to most people it is. Here I'm jumping in Nordic hamstring curls. These trashed me. I was really struggling. You can see like my hamstrings start to cramp. I was in brutal shape. This is actually Ryan's workout. He does this every week. He told me that the DOMs tomorrow are going to be terrible, and I can 100% agree. And he told me that with exercises like these, I got to control it or the rep's done, and that's why it ended. And then here is my sumo work. I worked from 135 from a set of 5 just to warm up my hips, just to get that like angle. I went from that into a 3x5 at 225. I didn't want to go too much heavier than that, still with the hip and everything. I'm also kind of figuring out my form right now. I've been working with my friend Kyle, working on form. So what I said to him today was, I like the stance of Jamal Browner, because it's not wide, but it's not narrow. There's this guy named Johnny Kaufman who pulls sumo, and the way he pulls the slack out in that position, and then he sits in and picks up. And I kind of like the flat backness of Taylor Atwood. I really struggle with the flat back part. My back is really strong in a rounded position. I have no clue why. It might just be the fact that I've trained in a somewhat rounded position for the last 2 years. I really got my deadlift together. Probably I'd say this year, yeah. This year is when it came together. But I'm really trying to figure it out with my hips. I'm not wearing a belt for deadlifts either. I'm not wearing a belt. It's not going to happen. I have no clue why I'm wearing Crocs at this point in time. I should be wearing my Notorious Lift deadlift slippers. But, I think I was just in a rush at this point. The Crocs work well. They're actually pretty grippy, but I wasn't worried about them. I was more worried about focusing on the one cue that really is helping me with my hips. I was exploring a little bit yesterday with positioning, and the best cue for me, ended up being kind of like not pushing my legs out, but staying on the outsides of my feet. Because when I stay on the outsides of my feet, kind of like really turns on my glutes and allows me to like push my body into the bar real well. I think that's a really good cue. Kind of like stay more on the outside. I know some people are gonna see it differently. They might not see it as like pushing the outside or whatever. They'll see it more as like they might be like rolling their ankles. So cues are not universal. You got to mix it up. So for some people, it's going to be like open your foot and then like open your taint, or push your knees out. What else is there? There's screw your foot in the floor. There's a lot. Just like I was watching Elite FTS the other day, and the guy Dave Tate, he talks a lot about how you got to figure out what works for you. It's all going to be the same. It's a similar movement, but in your head, it's different. Once I figure out this stance, I think what I'm using now, I really like. I'm then going to figure out my upper back positioning and everything, because if you look through, it kind of changes throughout most reps. But right here in this video, it actually looks pretty good. It looks pretty locked in. It looks like I'm really able to get upright, and I'm really able to like. It's like a wedge. It's a wedge pretty much. So I'm really pushing my hips in and wedging as close to that bar as I physically can. It actually moved really well today, considering yesterday 225 was a little slow when I was trying to like move in that top range, in that lockout range. You can see it here. Very inconsistent, but you can see that like slack pull. But see how my upper back's like rounded as can be. I think I want to try to change that to something a little bit more like that. Okay, here's my max sumo ever, that's 485. And here's my max squat. This is to depth. This is 315. My best squat. This is the end of the video. Enjoy.